Hi everyone, this is Amy with My Plant Passion, and today we are going to talk about the spider plant, which is also sometimes known as the airplane plant and or the spider ivy. And today I need to do some cleaning up on my spider plant. We let this one go a little too long without water, I think, and he's got some dark stuff in there that I'm going to cut off. And first thing, I'm going to sanitize my clippers or cutters with an alcohol wipe. That way it's sterile and you don't you reduce the risk of like spreading disease and things like that. So go ahead and get that cleaned up really good. There we go. I'll dry those off with a paper towel too. And these are hanging baskets that they're in. And these two hanging baskets do not have holes in them, but they are in really good draining soil. But I try not to overwater them because they don't have the drainage holes in there. So that's one thing you got to be careful with. Try not to overwater or underwater. You can be a little forgiving, or they can be a little forgiving if they're underwatered. Just not overwatered, because it's hard to come back. These plants are hard to come back if they're root rot. So I'm going to start cutting on these here and get all the dead stuff, the dry looking stuff. Really check it over, make sure it's looking good underneath, and these definitely need a drink. And these are really good house plants because they actually remove toxins from the air. They've done a study on them, and within 24 hours, it was like 98% removed the toxins out of your home. So, which is an amazing thing. And also, I have a little baby here that come from this plant, one of the pups from this plant. It's doing really good. We just transplanted it into soil, just regular potting soil. And some people put it in water. We just went ahead and threw it in potting soil and wanted to see if it would take off, and it's doing very well. These like the hanging baskets because they can just drape on over, or you can get a pot to where it's up high enough to where they just dangle over. But let's see here. I think we're looking pretty good on this one. Don't want to hurt those. And here you can cut those off. Okay, that one's kind of broke a little bit, so we're gonna clean up that. Okay. Now to me that looks pretty good. I'm gonna look in the middle here. And there's a couple ones that need. That one's dry. Get it down as far as I can. And this should also help promote growth too. Okay. Some stuff at the bottom is kind of yellowy or browning, so I'm gonna cut all the dead stuff off of it. And that way I can, also it's good to kind of take a look at your plants, make sure they're still thriving, see if there's any issues, any bugs or anything on them. These are pretty resilient plants too. These are good for beginners as well, because they do, they are a little bit more forgiving when it comes to not watering. If you forget to water them, it's okay. If you overwater them, just be very careful. And these are good plants to have outside too, as long as it's not going to freeze. They do like being outdoors. But we use these primarily. This one's in my bedroom and this one is in the living room. This is a different variety of spider plant than this one. It's got more shinier, thicker leaves, but there's a little one right there. I also need to water these too, and the way I water them is I use a meter right here, and I stick it in there because I don't want to overwater it ever. And this one is actually needing a drink. Yep, this one definitely needs some water. so I think this one is good to go. Make sure I've got more in there. Oh, there's a couple dry ones. Okay, and those are just coming out easily. There we go. Oh, that one didn't want to come off, but okay. See, that's normal if you get them like that. I just like kind of keeping up with them and making them look good, and that way they grow nice and strong and healthy looking. I don't want brown leaves all over the place. I also don't want them falling either. Go ahead and get that. Okay, there's another one. And this one was in a very tiny container when we first brought this one home. So he has grown substantially. These guys are fast growers to me. I think they're pretty fast. And especially when they get these little babies coming off of them like that, I just love that part. I don't want to clip too much of them off because I like mine looking like a jungle. Okay, I think this one is good to go. On to the next one. Okay, go ahead and put that stuff away. Okay, here's a couple in here. This one started getting like the brown on the tips a little bit because this one was actually originally in my husband's bedroom, and he was neglecting it a little bit. And he is my cameraman right now. I think his favorites are stuff that actually has like fruits on them that actually grow fruit. Okay, I think that looks pretty good. Now there's a couple more down in there. Make sure I got that. Oh, that comes right out without me having to do much of anything. So that's good, I like that. Makes it easier for me. Okay. It's always good to do this, look at them, make sure they're still doing well, no bugs. And it's a really good way to view how your plant is doing too. If it's struggling at the roots, if it's too wet. I like really being able to view them, and also getting my fingers dirty in the dirt. I think this is one of the most therapeutic ways to relieve stress. Is just touching your plants, taking care of them. Really just it's a wonderful way of taking care of your plants. And it's a great stress reliever. That one looks good. I've got another one. And also these sometimes will produce flowers, like little bitty white flowers off the stems. Let's see, I think this one is good to go too. So I'm just gonna give it a drink, and then I'm gonna put them back where they are on my wall. Okay, go ahead and, I know this one is very dry because I did test it. I just kind of give them a drink in the middle. Let it run all the way around. Careful not to getting it too wet because, again, these do not have drainage holes. It's better to underwater them than overwater them. If you have drainage holes, that's perfect. But for me, it's harder to find pots that are big enough for these guys that actually have drainage holes. Okay, I think that's good enough. I will check him, make sure it's all going down. And here's this one. Actually, I forgot to test that one. I want to make sure I test him out too, because if he's too wet, we don't want that. I think this one's pretty dry though, by the looks of him. Oh yeah, very dry. Yep. And also when you stick your moisture meter down, don't try to force it down. You may hit some delicate roots and you don't want that. Yeah, this is very dry. I'm gonna go ahead and water that in the middle. These are very forgiving plants for not watering them enough. Now, if you do keep them outside, I recommend definitely having the drainage holes. Okay, I think we are good to go. So that is the prayer plant. No, the spider plants. I have prayer plants on the brain. These are some of my favorite plants, along with the prayer plants. All of these have a beneficial for your health. They all help clean the air, clean the toxins out of the air. They're great for just purifying the air. And I only use the water that I use is the distilled water. I make my own distilled water because our area has a lot of chlorine and fluoride that can be damaging to plants. So we also drink the distilled water too. It's much better for you. But thank you so much again for watching my video. And remember, for your mind, body, and soul to play in the dirt. Bye for now.